We move now to sports. The Las Vegas Raiders open their season on the road Sunday, September 8th against the Los Angeles Chargers. They finished last season 8-9, but went 5-4 under then interim head coach Antonio Pierce. So what can we expect from the Silver and Black this season? For that, we turn to Mark McMillian, former NFL cornerback and now Raiders analyst for 8 News Now. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. I was like, man, last year you said you were going to have me back earlier, but they didn't get off to a good start. So maybe it's like, well, there's nothing really to talk about. So I don't know, but thank you for having me back.
And we had you on for Nevada Week in person, which I encourage all our viewers to go watch. You have a tremendous story. But let's play catch up from last year because the roster of the Raiders, the whole makeup has changed dramatically. Let's start with head coach Antonio Pierce, now head coach. Prior to this, though, his highest level of head coaching experience was the high school level.
Yes.
Did you agree with this decision to make him head coach?
Well, at the time, everybody was questioning it, like, he was the linebacker coach, plays with a lot of energy. He's won a Super Bowl, so he's been there, done that. And they just needed a new identity, a new freshness in the locker room because the fans were getting tired of it. You can see the players really not buying into the system, and what he was able to do toward the end of the season kind of revitalized the program, got people excited about him being the coach. You have Max Crosby saying, if he's not the coach, then trade me away. So if you're the head guy up top, Mark Davis, you got to be like, we can't lose our star guy. So at that time, it was still questioning, but I think he's the right guy for the job now. Like I said, this is a tough business. These coaches get hired to get fired in the NFL. So hopefully they can get off to a good start.
I mean, I don't think that the Raiders really had a choice. Do you?
No, there was no other candidates out there, especially at that time. It was the middle of the season. Josh pretty much just dismantled the whole team. Him and Carr didn't really get along. They shipped him off to New Orleans, which I'm sure he's probably happy because he's got a lot of soul food out there. But like I said, it was just the chemistry wasn't there. So the players really bought into Antonio Pierce, especially being a defensive-minded coach. Everybody knows the Raiders love to play defense, down, dirty, gritty. So he's kind of like that guy that's preaching that message, and hopefully it transforms onto the football field.
You brought up Derek Carr, the quarterback now, Gardner Minshew, and my producer found a really funny quote. Quote, nobody wants him to be a starter, probably even his own team. But he won games with Indy last year, said an anonymous NFL offensive coach. When you play him, the kid is competitive, he will keep you in the game, and then it's going to be a fight. Your thoughts on that?
Well, there's a lot of people that didn't like the pickup. They were thinking about, maybe they should move up in the draft, but they have a lot of players that's making a ton of money, so they really couldn't have too much move in the draft. I know a lot of people wanted Penix, who's now in Atlanta. They wanted the young guy with the Commanders out of LSU. They wanted him, Daniels, but they wasn't able to move up because it costs a lot of money. But Gardner Minshew was available. A lot of people don't know. He beat the Raiders last year, with the Colts. And, he showed a lot of moxie. He's gritty. He has a little charisma to himself. A lot of people say he's got a little Jake, a little snake in him a little bit. He's got the mustache. He's he's a high energy guy. He's played some high level football with some really good football teams as well, with the Jaguars and recently with the Colts and the Eagles as well.
How would you describe this season? Could you say it's a rebuilding season?
Well, the players don't want to hear the word rebuild. As a player, you never want to hear that you're rebuilding. But, they have some pieces, some veteran guys. You got Devontae Adams, still one of the best receivers in the league. You got Max Crosby, who's probably the defensive MVP, in my opinion, every year the last couple of years. Then you bring over Wilkins from Miami, who's a really good run stopper as well. So they got some pieces, some veteran guys. But it's still a tough division. You got khaki pants, Jim Harbaugh over there with the Chargers now. And
who may have wanted a job with the Raiders. Is that true?
I thought he was going to be – he was my number one choice because I think he just fits that mold of the Raiders. He's a no-nonsense guy. He's won at every level. He's won he went to the Super Bowl with the 49ers. He just won a national championship with Michigan. I don't know how long that's going to last because of allegations that's going around there. Yeah. But he's a good coach. He coaches up quarterbacks really well as tight ends. And the Raiders just picked up one of the best tight ends, one of the best players in the draft in Bowers as well.
Okay. How did we get on Harbaugh? I brought that up because that's going to be the first
Yes.
team they're facing this season. Perhaps he's going to be a little bit angry if he wanted the Raiders job. Okay, so not a rebuilding year. You wouldn't say it, or you wouldn't say that to the players at least.
I wouldn't say that to the players. As a former player, you never want to hear the word rebuild, especially if you're a free agent and you go onto a team. You want to win. You know, at the end of the day, these players, trust me, they make a lot of money, but if you're a real football player, a real like-minded guy like myself, you want to win. No one likes to lose. You know, these guys may have a lot of money, but when you're losing, no one wants to talk to you. Your phone is dry. You can't go out to eat with your family because everybody's talking about you. But, you know, this is not a rebuilding year when you go get a veteran quarterback like Minshew.
Okay, so what about Devontae Adams? Is he actually happy with the Raiders?
You know, that's the question that's going around with a lot of the media. Obviously, you saw the show with wide receivers. Kind of threw his guy under the bus a little bit and, you know, just in and out of the lineup this year. Even the last preseason game, the preseason game before that, Antonio Pierce came out, public said everybody needs to play. And then obviously Antonio, you know, he didn't play. You know, so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way as well because if I'm a veteran guy, at least go inside the huddle with your guys. You may not get the ball, but at least show these guys that you're all in and you're buying into the program. And him not being in that huddle in the game before the last game with the 49ers kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because you got Max Crosby out there who's busting his butt. You got Jack Jones. You got Nate Hobbs, who's a nickel guy. You got all these guys that's starting, getting it in. So just go to the huddle. Just call a hitch. You know, you don't have to catch the ball, but at least be out there on the field.
Sticking with offense, no more Josh Jacobs at running back.
Oh, man, that hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Granted, last season wasn't great for him.
Yes, that hurt big time. And obviously I'm an Alabama guy, but the guy led the league in rushing 2 years ago under Kennedy Palomamo, who they fired in the offseason, who was a great running back coach. So there's a lot of stuff that happened in the offseason that kind of rubbed people the wrong way. Josh was a Raider. He got drafted by the Raiders. You look at the records that he was breaking, Marcus Allen's record. He was plagued by a little bit of injury last year. Could have been some other stuff going on. But you can't let a guy like that leave your building because he brought so much more off the field than he did on the field, especially in the locker room.
Who are they replacing him with? What do you think of him?
Zaire, you know, he's a young guy out of Georgia. I think this is his third year coming in. And obviously, you know, behind Josh, you're not going to get too many carries. But last year, you know, when he went down on injury, Zaire stepped up, made some really good plays. But there's no replacing a Josh Jacobs, a guy that's proven in the passing game, running game, and a leader in the locker room.
We talked a little bit about defense and the defensive line, but
yes.
What about that cornerback position, the very position you played in the NFL?
There's some holes that they tried to fill in the draft, but obviously, you know, Bennett, who they drafted high last year, is expected to be healthy. He's looked good in the preseason. Nate Hobbs, I always say a healthy Nate Hobbs at the cornerback position helps the defense out tremendously. You bring over Jack Jones, who had a really good toward the end of the season last year, plays with a lot of energy, played under Antonio Pierce in high school, so he knows the guy really well, and they got really good safeties and Epps as well.
All right, last question. The total wins that the sports books have put out for the Raiders, I think
what is it?
6.5. Do you think they'll go over or under that?
That's tough. It's all about if the quarterback stays healthy, I think they can at least go 500.
Okay.
You know, it's a tough division. Like I say, you got to beat the Chiefs. You know, and I always say, I know they beat them last year. They went to Kansas City. They went on the road and they beat them. But 800 could possibly get you a wild card spot in the division. And who knows, once you get into playoffs, anything can happen. So they have the pieces. They have a really dynamic offense. They have weapons all over the field, especially in the wide receiver position. You draft one of the best players, and Bowers coming from Georgia. It's going to be a mismatch for any defensive back. Jacoby Myers is playing really good. Tucker has improved dramatically, had eye surgery in the offseason. So they really got some good receivers. All
right, Mark McMillian, you can watch him on Channel 8 on game days, right?
Yes, I'm there with Chris and Ron every Sunday morning, 8 o'clock on Raiders Pregame Live.